Cricket is my passion and I cannot avoid it.
After the euphoria created in Australia, India was brought down to earth by Root and his ferocious England team when they blew away India in their own den at Chennai. We are going to do the post match analysis with our lovely Bharat Army. We welcome back Amanda Hayden. We have Dia, as well as we also welcome Gurkirat, who missed last time. Welcome to all of you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
So let me start with Gurkirat, our statsman. Gurkirat, ये क्या हो गया?
Yeah, I said something today that cricket is a great leveler. You win at Gabba after against an opposition which has not lost there for 32 years with an India C or an India D, and then you lose a test match in Chennai, which is supposed to be your fortress when you have the likes of Ishant, Bumrah, Ashwin, and Ashwin back. So you have four players who come back, but you still lose. But I think credit England deserve credit. They bowled extremely well. They were also a little lucky. They were lucky with the toss. They were lucky with a few dismissals. Pujara's dismissal in the first innings, Rahane's dismissal in the first innings, and then when you have a few things going your way, you sort of are able to put in a good performance, which turns into a winning performance. Most days, the way England batted and way they were playing, it would have been a draw. But like I said, credit goes to them. Uh, there shouldn't be a lot of post-mortem into this defeat. I just put it down to one thing. India just didn't bat well enough on third day. If they batted well enough in the first innings, this game would have been a draw. Because I don't think that this pitch had enough demons for India to be bowled out twice. I genuinely think that we are a better batting lineup than getting bowled out twice, even if we are batting in the second and the fourth innings on a Chennai wicket. Because I take my mind back to the 2013 test at the same venue against Australia. That was a much difficult pitch to bat on. The ball was turning more than what it was more on day one than what it was turning here on day three and day four. And even someone like Moses Enriquez scored an 81 on day four against Ashwin, Bhajji, and Jadeja. With all due respect to Moses Enriquez, all our top seven are better batsmen than him. And I don't think that Jack Leach and Dom Bess are of the same quality as what Ashwin, Bhajji, and Jadeja were in 2013. So it's just a bad performance. I think not much to look into it. Just sort of make one change where if someone's fit, if Akshar is fit, he comes back and comes in place of Nadeem, and then maybe try and see where Kuldeep fits, or probably bring in a third pacer. That's about it. Everything else remains the same. There's not much you can sort of pinpoint and blame for a loss. It was a collective failure, and let's look at it that way only.
Gurkirat summed up quite well about the whole loss, but we probably, as Indian passionate fans, need to dig in. So, Amanda, let me ask you, like you said, we were unlucky, Gurkirat said. We lost the toss. Uh, Pujara got out unluckily. Rahane's catch, blah, blah, blah. Amanda, if you had to sum up, because I don't want you to sum up, rather point out me a few points where you feel that India lost this test match, because we have to do a 45-minute show. So I want to ask some questions, because if you'll answer all the questions in your first thing only, then I'll have nothing to ask.
Yeah, I think a couple of places where that sort of led us to this loss was obviously it was very difficult to stop Joe Root. I mean, he's a part of the Fab Four, and once he gets going, he's almost unstoppable. I mean, scoring a double hundred, hats off to him. I think like Gurkirat said, maybe get in a third pacer because these guys play well against spin. Joe Root especially, his sweep shots against spin is it's a treat to watch, but not as an Indian fan. Um, I think of course the batting sort of wasn't up to the mark this time, but like the captain said himself, it's just one test match, two innings. It happens. I think the boys need to just focus a little bit more on sort of staying and carrying the team. I think, not everyone should sort of, I think Rishabh Pant was awesome while attacking, but we've also, I think, for this match specifically, we needed more people playing like Pujara in this case, because just staying and defending and not really trying to win.
Good point, Amanda. Dia, what Amanda was trying to say, that after that euphoria which we created in Sydney, where we came close to winning and we drew the game, and then at the Gabba, we won a match. Most of the people had not thought India was going to win. And in this test match, even though England scored 500, there was always at the back of the mind, na India 500 बनाएगी. And उसके बाद second innings में भी जब India को 400 का target, ऐसा लग रहा था कि India ये chase कर जाएगी. Even though history says कि it's not that easy to chase in India, and on a track it deteriorates. So Dia, what do you think? ऐसा क्या हो गया कि we were just outplayed? Probably I can remember only one session. Rest all sessions we were outplayed throughout.
I would say that, going into this day 5 of the test match, everyone was like, we have done this before at Gabba and at SCG, so we're going to do it again. But the point comes in that, was the pitch similar to what it was at Gabba and SCG? No, because I think today the pitch had turned really abrasive. Many people were criticizing this pitch. They were saying that it's not a test match kind of a pitch. But according to me, this is a typical test match pitch, because as Gurkirat also pointed out, that in the first innings, you need to play well, because that's when, it was a typical Indian subcontinent pitch, where initially in the first, innings, the pitch plays really well. Then it starts to deteriorate. So that's what exactly happened. And had we, played well in the first innings, such kind of situation wouldn't have come. So we cannot compare this to what happened at Gabba and SCG, because the pitch had deteriorated. And, the ball was also keeping low. Many of the batsmen, the dismissals of Kohli that we saw, he couldn't have done anything about it, because the ball was keeping low. So that is also one thing that we need. We need to keep our emotions aside as well at times. Just people just start hyping up, things. And yeah, I think this is what Test cricket is at its best. That as Gurkirat mentioned, a very good thing, that it's a leveler. At one point of time you can be very good, but at the other point you cannot be. So I think it was the batting in the first innings that cost us a lot. Our bowling also, I feel that the way again Joe Root was batting, he showed that that's how you play the spin. He was not taking his foot that forward to play the spin, and that was a really good example that how you play the spin. He was sweeping, as we were mentioning earlier as well about it. He was sweeping, reverse sweeping, and his footwork was so good against the spin. But and again, I saw that the reverse swing that was happening, and the way Anderson was bowling, and Ajinkya Rahane, I think his head is not stable according to me, and his footwork was also not that well. That the ball went past, there was gap between his bat and pad. So I think his footwork and his head movement was not correct according to me, and that's what we not expect from a player of his stature. And again, he failed in the 2 innings, and I don't know if, according to me, it can be a very controversial kind of a take, but I feel that when Jadeja comes back, I think that we can drop in Ajinkya Rahane to have Washington Sundar, since no one has mentioned about his knock as well. That was a very crucial knock, that 85-run knock that he played. That knock only got us to this position, that we were close to the target that we had got. So Washington Sundar's batting is also one plus point for us, although he was not bowling that well in the first innings against England. But again, his batting has been a really plus for us. So I think with Jadeja being back, we can have Washington Sundar as our batsman, as an all-rounder, and Ajinkya Rahane really needs to up his game, because just 100, at MCG, that too cannot keep you in the in the team for long. So I think there are a lot of things, and more than that, I feel the way England played in total, it was so good to see them. It was not just their senior players like Joe Root, Ben Stokes, of course, James Anderson, they all played well. It was also Dom Sibley and, Dom Bess and all these players, the young, I would not say the youngster, I mean, they're playing in subcontinent in India for the first time. And it was so good to see, to play them in that manner. So everyone, according to me, from England stepped up at the right moment. And I guess that's where, they won this match according to me, because everyone stepped up for them. It was not just Joe Root, it was almost everyone at very crucial stages that stepped up for them to win this match.
Bold statement by Dia. that if Jadeja comes back, you got to ask Rahane to step aside and replace him. Uh, well, let's see what happens. As far as I know, Jadeja is not available for the whole series. Gurkirat, let me come to you again. You did mention that one obvious change you are expecting, that if Aksar is fit, you straight away replace him with Shahbaz Nadeem, who had definitely an unforgettable test match. But tell me something. Did India selectors miss a trick by not picking the Chinaman Kuldeep Yadav?
I personally don't think so. I think Akshar's injury actually, disturbed the balance a little bit because Akshar was one person who would take the ball away and and would be capable with the bat as well. When Akshar got injured, they had to bring in Washington who could bat, and then they had to bring in a Shahbaz Nadeem who could take the ball away. I'm pretty sure that if Akshar would have been playing, Kuldeep would have been included because then there would have been two spinners who take the ball away, two spinners who bring the ball back into the right hander, and one who takes away. But once he got injured, there was no other option left. Apart from this, there's this theory and there's this very good saying in cricket is that every player becomes better on the bench because when the ones who are in 11 are not performing, everyone thinks that the player who's on the bench is is a better pick. I remember such discussions were happening on day one of GABA as well, and I was of the same opinion that Kuldeep should not play that test match because that was not the pitch for him. And I'm sure that even here Kuldeep wouldn't have been able to do much because we have to realize what is Kuldeep's strength. Kuldeep's strength is to take the zip out of the wicket. This pitch didn't have any pace. And England is one team. If you see how they've played him in the limited overs cricket, they play him very well off the pitch only because he doesn't have the pace, so he can be negotiated off the back foot. So I think, and plus all wrist spinners, regardless of whether they are right arm leg breaks or left arm Chinamen, all wrist spinners do not offer the same control that a conventional orthodox spinner does. Because wrist spin as a science is difficult. It's difficult to control. Having said that, like you said, Nadeem has had a forgettable test match. I think what he did the same mistake in both innings was that once he plays 3 or 4 good deliveries, he had the tendency to go to bowl short in a bit to bowl faster and bowl quicker, and that is where he kept giving away the runs. He couldn't string in dot balls together, and that it happened in both the innings. And I think another thing that kept playing him in his mind was that if he will bowl full, he will get swept by Joe Root and other English batsmen. So he just couldn't find that in between length where he could stop Joe Root from sweeping and driving him. So whenever he tried to bowl it a little quicker, he went short. And I think that is where he started giving away runs. But it's okay. I mean, it's his second test. He will improve. But the one good thing where I think Virat Kohli has not gotten credit for in this test is that despite Indian bowlers not picking up wickets, the run rate by the English batsmen in the first innings was not too high. It was hovering around 3 only, and that was down to the fact that there were very good field placements. There was always a deep square leg, in place to stop a boundary whenever a sweep is played. I just think, coming to Washington Sundar as well, he tried to replicate what Ashwin was doing. His strength is not coming around the wicket and, bowling on the middle stump. His strength is rather, as we saw, when he was bowling in Australia, that he should rather stick to bowling from over the wicket and then outside off stump line. So I think that is where also, he struggled. Another thing which Dia said, and a lot of people have been thinking that, sweep is one way to play spin and, how it is successful. It's very important to understand that, sweep is predominantly played well by the Aussie and the English players because they don't pick the spin out of the hand. And that is why they always rely on the length to play the sweep. On the other hand, conventional Asian batsmen, if you see, they're always good with their feet. That is why they don't play the sweep enough. Hardly any Indian batsman, plays the sweep. I think the one batsman who plays the sweep in this Indian top 6 is Rishabh Pant, and the other batsman who played a sweep was Ishant Sharma because he's tall, so he's able to reach out to short of length deliveries. So sweep is one shot. I don't think even if India starts playing, they would be successful at it. It's not a get out of a jail shot for somebody who doesn't play it often. I don't think India particularly played spin badly. I just think that it was a combination of loose shots with a few lucky wickets. I genuinely don't think that Dom Bess bowled very well. Jack Leach, yes, in the second innings, But I genuinely think that all the 6 wickets that fell on day 3 were not to a single wicket taking delivery. You see Rohit Sharma getting out to Archer, he could have easily left that ball. And in fact, he left all those balls on length in Australia. You see Shubman Gill's wicket in the first innings, he also sort of checked his shot and then got out to a very good catch. Virat Kohli didn't reach to the pitch of the ball. He allowed the ball to drift. Today, if you see how he batted, he was either going too fully forward or coming, completely backward to cover the spin. Ajinkya Rahane, a good catch. Pujara to a terrible delivery. I mean, you will only get out to that sort of a delivery and on that kind of a manner 1 in 100 times. Rishabh Pant again, not a wicket taking delivery in particular. So like I said, India just didn't bat well enough, and people might be thinking that 400 might be possible. India chased down 387 in Chennai in 2008, and India chased down in Gabba. West Indies chased a similar score in Bangladesh a day ago. But there's a reason why batting on in the fourth innings and on fifth day is difficult, because a chase of 250 or 300 is also very, very difficult. We saw that with South Africa when they were playing Pakistan. They were 241 for 3, but they collapsed to 290, 294 all out. Because that is how test matches progress in Asia. I think people were being too optimistic, thinking that India would chase. The best chance, once India had given a lead of 240 was to, ensure that we draw the game. And that is where England were too proactive. If you see how they batted in the third innings, they scored at a run rate of 4.5. They started taking attack to the Indian bowlers. And I think that was where the match completely went out of India's hand. Because once you have to chase 400, it is something that happens once in 100 years. There are hardly any. There are probably 2 or 3 chases of more than 400 runs in Test cricket. So a lot of things. Like I said, a collective failure where everything could have been done better by probably every batsman or every bowler in the team, but it just didn't come together how it did in Australia. So a lot of things, a lot of small things which could have been done better, but nothing that I would say fretting over. But I agree with Dia that Ajinkya Rahane really needs to pull his socks up, because in the last 10 innings, if you go back till Adelaide and you include this test match, there has only been 150 plus score. On the contrary, Washington Sundar has had 250 plus scores. Rishabh Pant has had 350 plus scores. Pujara has had 450 plus scores. Virat Kohli has had 250 plus scores despite playing 3 test matches less. Shubman Gill has had 350 plus scores. So Ajinkya Rahane's form is a worry. I don't even think it's form. I just think it's the mindset, because it's not that he gets. There isn't even a pattern in his dismissals. He just seems to find ways to get out, which we did discuss, when we were previewing the Melbourne Test match. He just finds ways to get out, and it's extremely frustrating as a viewer. Which is why I think even if he's dropped for one of the Test matches, whenever there's an alternative available, I'd be fine even if he's dropped for a Mayank Agarwal at 5, because he needs to be given that wake-up call.
Right. Even Gurkirat saying that Rahane should be dropped. My question to Dia: do you feel like how England have a proper opening pair, a set opening pair where they have been opening for their county cricket? Rohit Sharma, we all know he came into as an opener when he did well in India, and then he was made an opener when India lost probably one of their players. Mayank was not in form and they made him the opener. So both Gill, I also know that he's a middle order player and he's asked to open. So do they fit Dia as openers for Indian team?
This is a very tricky question, to be very honest. But I would say that on Twitter, I saw Mayank Agarwal trending the very moment Rohit Sharma got out. So first of all, I want to point out this hypocrisy of all the fans, Indian cricket fans out there, who if Mayank is not doing well, they want Rohit. Like, Rohit, please come back, please come back. When he comes back, he doesn't perform. They are like, please, Mayank, come back. And then they will also say, KL, please come back. You had a 199 last time over here in Chepauk only. Get him back. And if he doesn't perform, then like this, I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy at first. Well, of course, again, I say that, there's a problem of plenty that we have got, and we are still not sure that, whom we should have as our openers. Because I think that Gill has been doing so well as an opener for us. He has been assigned a role, because I think this was the perfect time for, someone like him to, be there in the team. And there is no way you can keep him in the middle order as of now, because seeing our top six is fixed. Like, you cannot change it. Pant also being there, Ajinkya Rahane being one and out as of now. So I think Gill was, he has done so well as an opener as well. If we see his footwork, if we see his everything, I think that there's no flaw I can point out, except for the fact that yes, he needs to take care of his off guard. That is one issue in him. Although yeah, he's very young, and he's going to improve only with time. But I think as an opener, he has done a great job for us. He has provided us great starts. But on the other hand, Rohit Sharma, again, his white ball demons, comes and haunt us all the time, because he's always there to, uh, of course, that's the case with, I think, Rishabh Pant as well, that he doesn't care that what the bowler is going to bowl. He just want to go for a shot only. But he has been successful in doing it, according to me. The way we saw him bowl, batting this time as well, his mode of dismissal was also like that only, that he was going for a shot, and that's how he got out. But till now, this thing has worked for him, but not for Rohit Sharma. He has not been able to pick up the line, the length, the way Jack Leach was the bowler who got him out in the second innings, and he just couldn't pick up the line the way, although I know he couldn't have done anything about it, but till now he has not given any performances to us, except for the last year, when he got last year, where he gave us 5 centuries. If we are keeping him in the team just on the basis of that, then I don't know what to say. Maybe he needs to rethink and, just set his mind again to that he is playing test cricket right now. So that will be better. And I think Mayank Agarwal has done so well in India as well. It was just one bad series for him, that, not even a series, just 4 innings. Again, I'm also being hypocritical. I was also saying that Mayank should not be playing. But again, I would say that I think that we can bring in back Mayank Agarwal for Rohit Sharma, maybe in the second. But I know that's not going to happen. It's going to be Rohit only. But yeah, I think it's Rohit and Gill who is, who will be there, I think, for at least more than 1 or 2 series. They should be given the chance to, they should get proper chances to prove themselves. If they're not able to, then we can maybe change, because Gill has it's his 4th 50, so I think he's doing pretty well. But Rohit Sharma needs to get some runs under his belt to maintain his spot. So yeah, I think till now if it's going like that, it should be like that. We should not be chopping and changing consistently. So Rohit and Gill for me.
Okay. Now, Dia mentioned that we Indian fans are hypocritic, or rather hypocrisy comes out and we want X for Y, Y for Z. I would probably rephrase it and say we are emotional. We want our team to do well. So now, Gurkirat, what actually I felt bad about the test match is that, all right, we lost the test match. But if you watch probably how many sessions we've had, every day 4 sessions, so 22 sessions, rather in the 22nd session, we got bowled out, whatever it is. Out of that, I think they dominated 20 sessions. So in fact, India was outplayed throughout the test match. So was India complacent, or was England too good for India?
None of the above. England were better prepared, because they had played in Sri Lanka, so they were better prepared to play spin bowling. But I don't think India were complacent. Like I said, Jadeja being a miss is a huge factor. Had Jadeja been there, this test match would have probably shaped up differently, because Ashwin, Ishant, and Bumrah bowled very well. Joe Root, people keep talking about intent. Joe Root, in that innings, he was 11 of 64 or 65 deliveries. Indian fans have crucified Cheteshwar Pujara for doing the same. But the difference was that he knew that the 4th and 5th bowler will not probably have that same quality, and he might get chances to score runs against him. If anyone saw complete innings of Joe Root didn't play a sweep to Ravichandran Ashwin. He brought out the sweep against Nadeem and Sundar. So Joe Root was actually up to the task. What he benefited from was the lack of penetration from the 4th and 5th bowler. That was one. The other, like I said, I don't think India were underprepared or India were complacent. I just think that England were aptly prepared, and then they were helped with winning the toss, a few lucky wickets. So Joe Root batted well. Then this pitch on the first 2 days had nothing on offer after the ball went soft. In fact, if anyone saw Ravichandran Ashwin's press conference on the 4th day, he spoke of how this SG ball is losing everything after the 20th or after the 30th over. The seam is coming out. It is becoming so soft that it is very difficult to even grip it and extract any turn. And we saw that even, in the second session today, when Ashwin and Kohli were batting, there was not much happening apart from the odd ball keeping low. He just had to bat till the 30th over and not lose too many wickets, because after that there was not much going to happen. And you know this is where I think England were too good. Anderson picked out, saw that how Bumrah and Ishant got all their wickets. Ishant got 3 wickets in this test match. Two were bowled, one was LBW. Bumrah got 3 wickets in the first innings. All 3 of them were LBW. In the second innings, he got 1 wicket. That was also an LBW. So he figured out that there is not going to be much bounce or carry for him to try and induce the edge. And he, just came on to bowl when there was reverse swinging and targeted the stumps. That is what experience does. And, of course, having 500 runs behind the back always helps. I don't think, anything else was an issue. For all Pant's attacking style and everything, the control percentage in the first innings for a Pant and Pujara was the same, 94%. Both Pant and Pujara were in control of 94% of the deliveries that they faced. And again, in the second innings also, both Gill and Virat Kohli, they had a control percent of 97%. So, like I said, it's not a wicket where India should have lost. It's not a pitch where India should have lost 20 wickets. It's just that we batted poorly and England were aided with some luck. Coming to, what you had asked about Rohit or who should be the next opener or if there should be any changes. Like I said, every player gets better on the bench because we are an impatient lot. I was not in favor of Mayank being dropped, but once Mayank has been dropped, then you need to give Rohit Sharma that much of time to, sort of prove himself. Let's be honest, he has thrown his wicket away. That is there, but he's looked good. It's not that he's looked like a walking wicket. He was leaving the ball well. He was very comfortable on the crease. I will still play Rohit Sharma in the next test. Probably if he, fails again in the next test match, I might think about it when India go to Ahmedabad. But if he does decently, if he gives me some returns, I might as well play him in the third test as well, because he has actually improved his technique. If you see, he's playing late, he's leaving the ball well. As far as yesterday's wicket is concerned, anyone who has followed Rohit Sharma, even in white ball cricket, they know that ball turning away has been an issue for him. In the IPL, on various occasions, he's been LBW to the leg spinners or bowled to the leg spinners whenever they have come on in the power play. That has been a weakness. And yes, like I said, when you 400 runs, you're batting on day 4 or day 5, it is bound to happen. I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying that it is something that we shouldn't be very harsh about, because he's not looked like a walking wicket. I would ideally, if Mayank Agarwal is going to come in the side, I would ideally bring him for Ajinkya Rahane, because his average in India since 2016 has been 30. And his average against spin has been worse. It's been some 26, 28. So that is where I would like to make a change and not, bring in. And as far as KL Rahul is concerned, there is hardly anything to sort of suggest his coming back into the 11. He's not played red ball cricket in more than a year. He's not played any first class cricket. His technique is pretty much the issue in his technique is pretty much same as what is there in Mayank Agarwal's, because they've been playing so much of white ball cricket that the stride that they are taking out is so big. So both KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal, if they want to bat or have a chance, I think they should only bat in the middle order right now, because their front foot is coming too far across. And the kind of dismissal that Ajinkya Rahane had today against Jimmy Anderson, it's possible that the same kind of dismissal will happen to both of them if they open against the new ball, because they are going to play Jimmy Anderson as well, or Jofra Archer. So for now, like I said, no changes in the batting. If anyone needs to be questioned, that needs to be Ajinkya Rahane and nobody else. I was not in favor of Rohit Sharma opening first, but now that the team management has backed him, we can't be asking for a change after 3 test matches again. We can be asking him to do better than what he's doing, but I don't think there's a need to drop him as such.
Right. Well, you know what? We definitely are going to do a pre-match show on 12th. I think the second test match falls on 13th, if I'm not wrong.
13th.
So we would love to have you guys on 12th and probably decide our playing 11 before the game starts. Amanda, let me come to you. We all feel that Rahane, I am not in the favor of dropping Rahane, but when the majority says, who am I? I have to put my hand up. Yes, say, yes, boss. Yes, Amanda. Yes, Dia. Yes, Gurkirat. Rahane should be dropped. We are all emotional fans. Now, we said rather I said that it out of 20 sessions, it's because it has to be 20. They dominated almost 18 sessions. Now we're talking about Root here again. Before the test match started, I remember one show on Star Sports where they said that how you could get Root out with that ball which comes in, or probably the reverse swing, and how he's corrected himself. So do you think there's the same thing Indians can't do it with the reverse swing? Because how the reverse swing can be played? Because I'm sure you guys must have seen the test match today, and they were talking about that how you can tackle reverse swing. Because as Gurkirat mentioned, ye fir hona hai. And we are going to play on the same Chepauk test. And mind you, if you lose the toss, it's going to be the same scenario.
And the pitch is different, but
Okay,
there's a very
Amanda.
different pitch.
Yeah. See, if you're asking me on how to get Joe Root out, that's a bit of a tricky question, because he's playing so well against spin. The pitch plays a huge factor. And, when he's playing reverse shots, reverse sweeps, and stuff against spin, it was quite shocking to see a spinner get him out. So, that's what confuses me a little bit, because Joe Root, he's a part of the Fab Four. He's proved himself numerous amount of times. I honestly thought, before the test match, I thought someone like Bumrah or Ishant Sharma would be the one to get that breakthrough. So when it comes to getting Joe Root out, all I can say is you need to just get him out early, whether it's fast, whether it's spin. And that's where I feel that's sort of what, if you look at this test match, if you got Joe Root out early, it could have been our game.
Okay. Dia, like Gurkirat said that when he started to bat in the first inning, Joe Root, probably in the first 60 balls, he was going at a very low strike rate. He did not play a sweep to Ashwin. And then he started playing his shots, the sweeps or the reverse sweep, or attacking the spinners in the third session of the first day. My question to you, do you think India had done enough homework on Joe Root? Or did you feel that Virat Kohli played his cards well? Okay, selection to ho gaya, Shahbaz Nadeem came for whatever reasons. But do you feel Virat Kohli missed out a trick? Or Indian team management did not do a proper homework?
Well, I would say when a player is in his the form of his life, I mean, he's coming out of 200s already. Then when a player is in form, luck also favors him, and everything is in his favor. Like the ball in his court, and he's going to deliver the result. And we all knew that he's going to be a big threat for us. But again, on the first day, we saw it was such a great pitch to bat on. It there was nothing that was happening. And on the other hand, Sundar and Washington Sundar, and on the other hand, Nadeem was also not bowling well, and that's where we saw, that Ashwin was bowling well, and that's when and Bumrah, that's when Root was not attacking at that point of time. But when both these spinners came in, he started attacking, and that's a really good quality in him, that he knows when to play. And when again I saw that when Sibley was playing, he was not hitting when Sibley was along with him, he was hitting, and that's when he was scoring at a good run rate. But when Stokes came in with that, he was playing at a brilliant strike rate, and that's when he calmed down, and he was batting with a very low kind of a strike rate, and he was not rushing. So that's also one thing to consider, the way he was putting himself out there to bat. He was taking on the chances whenever needed. He was not in a rush or in a hurry, and the way he built his innings was very good to see. And on the other hand, no one is going to talk about that 40 odd runs that he scored with that at a very good strike rate. And again, it was a very, very good to see, because he knew that they needed runs at a good run rate and at a strike rate, and that's where he struck. So I think he came with a very good plan. He showed that intent. Again, I would use the word intent. And our bowlers, I think we of course Ravindra Jadeja, if he would have been here, he could have done well, and maybe he could have got him out. Chennai pitch definitely would have suited his style of bowling. And Ashwin also was bowling well. I mean, he got a fifer as well, but I guess Root was set in his mind. He had his own plans, and there was nothing that we could have done about it. I feel that. I mean, when Kohli also comes in and plays a knock, makes a daddy 100. There's nothing the opposition can do. I think something similar was the case with Root this time, and I think there was nothing that we could have done. He was ready with his plans, and he executed them pretty well, and worked in England's favor only. So yeah, I think again. Yeah,
go on.
again, I was about Virat Kohli. I just say that many people were doubting his captaincy and everything. He had done everything. I mean, Nadeem was made to bowl round the wicket. I mean, what else could have been done to get him out? I mean, Nadeem was coming round the wicket. I think every plan was executed and implemented, but nothing was happening because the pitch was doing nothing at that point of time, and they were playing spin pretty well, and some loose bowling from our side as well. I would not blame Kohli for it as the captain, but yeah, I think Root was doing pretty well, so that's the case.
Fine. Gurkirat, yesterday I read a very nice quote on Cricinfo, which says that casinos love brave people and the graveyards are full of them. And there was a lot of flack which Root got, rather this team got in the last session when they were playing after tea, that they were defensive. But if you see everything what Root did, probably yielded fruits. Is that something which Virat Kohli missed?
Virat Kohli has never had luck actually in important matches. Firstly, I'll say that. Before I answer your question, I just want to, talk about the previous question that you asked, where you asked that if India had planned enough for Joe Root. I think the planning was definitely there. The execution wasn't, because if you see how when Ishant Sharma and Bumrah were bowling to Root, there was a short mid wicket. There was a square leg inside there was a square leg inside the circle, and there was only one slip. There weren't multiple slips, and there was a short there was a sort of short mid on as well. Because they
Three
knew
players
that,
on the leg side.
because they knew that he has a tendency to play the flick in the air, because he's gotten out that way against Indian bowlers in England and in India. I remember Shami getting him LBW out that way in Vizag. He's gotten out to Bumrah that way in England. He's gotten out to Ishant Sharma that way in England. So there was obviously that plan. And also, let's not forget, on the first day, Ishant Sharma induced an edge. It just fell short. That is why I said, because there wasn't enough bounce in the wicket. Apart from this, there was also, like I said before, there was always a deep square leg in place, to ensure that whenever he sweeps, he doesn't get that many runs. So he's forced to take that extra risk. It's just that the planning was there, but the execution fell off with the fourth and the fifth bowler. Even when Joe Root was being asked to drive against the spin with Nadeem, there was a short cover, and there was a deepish cover, not exactly a sweeper, to ensure that he doesn't get the runs. Every time Nadeem gave runs was when he went short, when he allowed Root to cut him. And this is something which Sanjay Manjrekar also tweeted, that for somebody of Nadeem's quality, who's played 100 first-class matches, getting cut so often isn't a good sign. So I think the plan was there on paper, the execution wasn't. As far as what you asked about how everything that Root did, it was his 100th Test match. He had all the luck, and I think a lot of commentators say that teams are waiting too long to declare. It's just that from the outside, people don't understand that teams declare at the score which they are comfortable at. They didn't want to they wanted to set a target to India, which they know that even if they bat aggressively, it is going to be difficult. Which is why they kept batting and batting and batting. And as it turned out, they won the match with some 40 odd overs to spare. So declaration is something where you can never be entirely sure of as to when is the right time to declare. Had India been 8 or 9 down by the end of the day, then everyone would have ripped apart into Joe Root. And if if he had declared early, say at around tea time, and India would have chased 350, 360, then there would have been calls for Joe Root to be removed as captain. So I think what the approach that England took was better be safe than sorry, and it paid off. There are going to be days when it will not pay off, and then that is where the real test of captaincy comes in, how you assess the risk. How and where you assess the risk. So I think over here they were pretty much spot on. They wanted to ensure that they don't lose, and that has been the way England has always played. They've given India a target of 400 plus, even in England also, when they know. If you take your mind back to the Oval Test in the last Test series, India were a bowler short, but they kept batting. They gave India a target of 450. That has been the kind of captain Joe Root has always been. So if they had given India a target of 450 in England in Oval, There was no way they were going to settle for anything less than 400 in Chennai. So I don't think the declaration was an issue. I just think, like you asked, the execution of the bowling plans and then a little bit of short selection in the first innings. That would have been sorted. This could have easily been a draw, and we wouldn't have been, having so much of questions being asked. I just think that we did the little things wrong. As a test match bowler, you are supposed to, keep bowling in one area and stick to your plans, which neither Nadeem did, neither Washington did, and that is why Joe Root scored a 200. Apart from this, one innings which is completely gone under notice and off the radar is Ben Stokes' innings in the first innings. Shabaz Nadeem was actually getting into a good rhythm on day two morning, but he just kept slog sweeping him or reverse sweeping him. And when you're bowling a good line and you're still being taken for runs, your confidence is destroyed. And I think that is what Ben Stokes did. On the first day, Shadab Nadeem was poor, but on the second day, he was actually improving and he bowled well. But he didn't have anything to show for it because Ben Stokes kept hitting him out of the rough. It was very similar to how Rishabh Pant kept hitting Jack Leach. Good players of spin will always do that. They will not allow you to bowl in the rough. It was very similar to how Virender Sehwag, sometimes would attack the most threatening spinner in the opposition. He would attack Muralidharan and hit him for sixes to ensure that he's not able to settle into a line. And you need sort of that along with someone like Pujara, and that is why the Pujara Pant partnership has been doing well, because one batsman attacking ensures that the bowler is never able to settle into a rhythm against the other batsman as well. So a combination of all things, like I keep saying, test matches, it's ultimately a team game. 11 players are going to play in it. One player performing out of his skin will never change the result. It has to be a combination of a lot of factors coming together to change the result or enforce a result. For India, it didn't happen. For England, it did. And that is why they ended up on the winning side.
All right. We are definitely going to come back in 3 days' time. So quickly, I'll ask all three of you one question. Amanda, 1-0 down. As an Indian fan, passionate Indian fan, you see India reversing the score as they did in Australia?
Absolutely. As an Indian fan, I believe that this team can do it. They've got top class players, good bowlers, good batsmen. Like Gurkirat said, they had their plan, they just failed to execute it. Also, a little bit of luck on England's side. So I believe this team can do anything. And India, honestly, they're unstoppable at their home ground. So I think they can turn this around.
Dia, could teams create their own luck? Will India be able to create their own luck? Because you are not going to say the toss is not there or this guy got injured, that's why this guy came in. What do you say about it?
First of all, I just want to say let's not again mention about the Australia series that we have done there. Now we are going to do it here again. The conditions are different. The circumstances are going to be different. It's just, just focus. I have said it so many times. Just go session by session. Just play your heart out. I know our team know how to do that. It's their own backyard. And, you like last time we lost over here. The only test match that we lost here was in Pune. And then we came back against Australia. So I think we can do it again. I think keeping the World Test Championship percentage points also in mind. So I think we have to win at least 2 test matches. So yeah, Chennai has to be one among them. So yeah, I think we are going to win the next one.
Gurkirat, last one to you. 4-0 to Virat Kohli. When I say 4-0, 2 in New Zealand, 1 in Australia, and 1 in India. Can he turn it around finally in Chennai, keeping all the luck factor against him?
He doesn't have to turn it around. It's the team that has to turn it around.
Obviously, he's leading the team.
So I have no doubts that India would be able to turn it around. I just think, if you look at all those 4-0 matches in isolation, you will find out that there's not much that he did wrong. In Adelaide, you had a one in a millennial or one in a decade kind of a session where I think any batting lineup would have crumbled. Any batting lineup, even the Australian. I will say this with a little bit of outrageousness. Had Australia batted against those Australian bowlers, they would have probably gotten out for less than 36. Considering how they batted against Indian bowlers who were vastly less experienced. So you take that match out. This was, like I said, a collective failure, and against New Zealand, everyone failed. I think this team can still turn it around. I won't be surprised if the scoreline still ends in 3-1, but I will be mighty surprised if this test series turns into a draw or if England win. But I won't be surprised if this is 3-1. If Umesh and Shami are coming back for the next two test matches, the Ahmedabad test matches, I'm very confident that India should win it. And if Ashwin is fit, he got hurt a little bit today, but if Ashwin is fit, I just think that India will still be able to win the next test match. I wouldn't fret a lot over it. Does that, need to do the small basics right, which India under Virat Kohli in the last 4 years, I think they've been able to do it, especially at home. In the last decade, we only lost 4 test matches. So probably, it's the first test match of this decade which we lost, like how we lost in Mumbai, but nothing to fret over. These things happens to the best of the teams. It's not that the great West Indies side didn't lose in West Indies or the great Australian side never lost at home. But yeah, it's not much to worry about, not much to lose sleep over. Not being overconfident, but just the depth that this team has, and also we need to keep in mind that Josh Butler will not be available in the next Test match. There would be Johnny Bairstow. It will also depend what kind of bowling attack that England will face on and play. But yeah, like I said, I'm confident that the team will able to turn it around.
Great. We've done a so-called postmortem for this test match, which didn't go India's way. And let's put it, England outplayed India in this whole test match and won emphatically. And we are definitely going to come back with our wonderful Bharat Army fans to discuss about the second test match, what sort of squad India has to pick. We might probably have an idea who is available, who is not available, and have the belief that this team can turn it around. Thank you very much, guys. You have a lovely evening. Take good care of yourselves and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.